Crazy women are not your friends. And any friendship that you think you have with them is a one-sided friendship. When a woman finds her self-worth in male attention and male validation, they will do anything to get it. These women will choose whatever man is currently giving them attention over you, over themselves, and over everything else. Even if that means, in a worst case scenario, putting you in a potentially dangerous situation, like leaving you alone at a bar without telling you because they wanted to go see a man. Sound familiar? But these women will be the first to call you when they need something. They got dumped and they need to talk about it, which is also exhausting to be on the other end of. The point is, you cannot expect a woman to see the value in female friendship when she doesn't even see the value in herself.
Being boy crazy is not cute at any age, but it's especially alarming when you're in your mid to late 20s, 30s, and even 40s. And I used to be friends with someone like that, and I'm not anymore. When someone revolves their worth around how other people perceive them, in this case, the opposite sex, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experience, and this is very deep-rooted. You are not a friend to them. You're an audience, or you're a sounding board, or you're a support system. They actually don't really care about you. You are a placeholder for them emotionally until they meet someone who can love them in the way that they want or whatever. But here's the thing. I also believe a lot of these people are not to be trusted, because on one occasion I was out with this, but I've known them for a really long time, my entire adult life. Okay. And they were texting their guy friend they knew for many years. I said, what's he doing at this time of night? And we were celebrating something in my life. Not that I care that you're on your phone, but it was she she wasn't even there, you know? And I was like, isn't he spending time with his fiance, whatever? And she went in this whole thing, how he always had a crush on her. She never wanted him, but now she's single. And his fiance is 8 months pregnant, and he was sending her flirty, sexy texts. So I said, how would you feel if that was your man, and her man, mind you, cheated on her? She has kids. I said, how would you feel if that was so-and-so that did it to you? And you know what she said? But I knew him first. And that's when I realized that was my cue to just get as far away from you as possible, because you are a decade older than me and you've learned nothing about morality or the world. At some point, these people will honestly put their own children at the bottom of the hierarchy for a little scraping of male sexual attention or validation. So please don't for one second think that they actually care about you as a human being. You are just a prop, someone that they can go out with in hopes to pull more people. I don't find it trustworthy. I don't find it interesting conversation. And another thing is, you're always going to be perceived competition, even if they know it or not. So this person would go out, talk to people, and then go oh, you're friends with the astrologer. Oh, we've met her friend, she's cool. And then somebody would say, so-and-so is single, she's his type. This happened on 5-6 occasions in 1 year. She'd be like, yeah, for sure. Then tell me about it. And I said, yeah, hook it up. And then she would try to get him herself. And if she couldn't bag him, she would pretend that he lost interest, or just bury the conversation, or full stop ignore me if I asked what happened to that guy. Please grow up. Get away from these people.
I would argue that most women who are male-centered also are not good friends. Women who display desperate energy or overemphasize the need for male validation or having a man in their life end up being so male-centered that men in dating is 90% of their identity. And because they are so focused on male approval and getting or having a man, that bleeds into their friendships and the quality of them. Male-centered women tend to view their women friends as a support system of their dating life, because they're putting so much of their focus and energy into having a man, and not into being a well-rounded individual with a thriving support system. In my opinion, women who are not male-centered are where you can find the real friendships, because we actually want to know about you and not just who you screwing.
You really can't trust women who center men any more than you can trust men themselves. And I hate to say it, but it's true. Let me give you some examples. They will put you in danger if they don't know how to center themselves and protect themselves and trust men, especially the wrong men, at every turn. It is inevitably going to affect you and maybe even get you, right? How many times have you gotten in some man's car because your friend was it was her boyfriend, and then he is so dangerous. You trusted her. She failed to mention that this man drives like he's in Fast and Furious 37. You can't trust women who center men as roommates, especially as roommates, because they will bring men over to your house because and usually these women have a lot of unhealed trauma. I'm not judging these women. I used to be one of these women. I totally get it and I empathize, but you got to decenter them and you can't really trust them because the men that I allowed in my house and in my life did impact the people who love me. Women and men and everyone. That was a really, really, really hard truth for me to swallow, was that I can be both a victim of domestic violence and be somewhat responsible for putting people who love me in danger. Those two things had to exist at the same time for me to really understand why some people had to cut me off. And I totally get why, and I don't judge them for it. In fact, I admire them for that. And also, that was a consequence that helped wake me up as to how much I need to work on this. I have been screwed over by so many men in my life, but the women who enable these men stood by and did nothing, or they excused their behavior. I mean, one woman in my life who's very important to me encouraged me again and again to hang out with one of my abusers because of all of the stuff she's not dealing with. So I empathize with the cool girls, the pick-me's, the toxic boy moms. I honestly understand where all that comes from. I know it's not your fault that you were groomed and conditioned to be that way, but it is your responsibility to heal yourself because you're screwing over everyone, especially women, and the ones who profit off of inciting the violence of these men. I have no empathy for them. They know exactly what they're doing, especially when white women do it. I mean, it checks out if you know our history, especially in the United States. Of course, white women do this all the time, which is another reason why we have to unpack all of this stuff. Patriarchy, white supremacy, anti-blackness, capitalism, all these systems, they all feed into each other. So yeah, men have to earn my respect and my trust. I assume all men are abusers and rapists and are somehow going to exploit me until they prove otherwise. But, you know, I've learned the hard way that I kind of have to do that with women too. Not to the same extent, but I watch women's behavior. And if I see right out of the gate that they're consistently centering men, I don't trust them. I will love them from a distance, but I will not trust them in my life because they can blow up my life like that with one of their terrible decisions. And I'm tired of paying a price for their refusal to heal. The same way my friends had to draw a boundary with me until I took my own healing seriously.
Years ago, I had a friend who was really centering men. I'm not judging her because at the time, I was the same way. But she came to live in my place temporarily because she was no longer talking to her then boyfriend, and she begged me for a place to stay. And I told her as long as her boyfriend does not come to my house, we're good. Well, lo and behold, one day he shows up at my house. And knowing how or who he was as a person, I did not want him to step forth into my house. So at the door, I told him to leave. And he refused to leave. So I kind of pushed him, saying, get out of my house, because he was trying to enter my house. He proceeded to choke me. And she came in between us. She freed me, got him out the house, and she begged me not to call the cops because she didn't want him to get into trouble. And at the time, I didn't call the cops because and we don't mess with the police, but she went right back to him. Now, obviously, she was dealing with an abusive relationship, but at the end of the day, it kind of trickled down and it affected me. And not gonna lie, it still affects me to this day. So you have to really be careful who you surround yourself with. Her and I are no longer friends due to her unhealed trauma, and I don't want to surround myself with that energy, but it's really important to pick your friends wisely.
Women who center men are dangerous, very dangerous. The comments that I've received whenever I've made a video about women who center men. Girl that thinks she has the golden pea and that the man that she's dating isn't going to hurt her even though he RAPE the other woman or abused the mother of his child. Girls that will beg a Dusty to love them but are absent in their relationships with women unless they need them because the Dusty broke their heart. The girls that sit by, watch you be abused in your family, at work, continue to maintain the system. And the ones that are like, oh, I'm so sorry he said that to you. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. As they sit by idly and do nothing. This is actually happening to me right now at work. These women are holding our liberation back.